In the golden age of silent cinema, where the world was introduced to a new form of entertainment, one man stood out as a pioneer, a visionary, and an unparalleled master of comedic timing. This man was Harold Lloyd. Hi everyone, Ken here. Today we're uncovering Greenacres in Beverly Hills, California. Hit that subscribe button and let's explore this house. Harold Lloyd's story begins in 1893 when he was born to a working-class family in Burchard, Nebraska. His childhood, however, was far from ordinary. Even as a young boy, Lloyd was fascinated by the world of theater, often experimenting with makeup to create different characters, a foreshadowing of the many faces he would later present to the world. In 1910, when Harold was just 17, his life took a dramatic turn. After a series of failed business ventures, his parents divorced and Lloyd relocated with his father to San Diego, California. This move was the catalyst that set him on the path to stardom. In San Diego, Harold attended high school, but his heart was already set on the stage. He joined various repertory companies, honing his craft and developing a love for performance that would shape his future career. Lloyd's big break came when he decided to try his luck in Hollywood, the burgeoning heart of the film industry. He began working with Thomas Edison's motion picture company, and his first role was as a background character in The Old Monk's Tale. It was a modest start, but it opened the door to the world of film. In Los Angeles, Harold's persistence and ingenuity soon paid off. Unable to gain entry into the Universal Studio, he disguised himself with makeup and slipped past the gatekeepers, a move as clever as any of his later on-screen antics. This resourcefulness caught the attention of Hal Roach, a young filmmaker with whom Lloyd would form a lifelong friendship, leading to innumerable collaborations. Together, Lloyd and Roach created the character Lonesome Luke, a comic figure inspired by the immense popularity of Charlie Chaplin's Tramp. Lonesome Luke was a man of exaggerated features, loud clothes, a false mustache, and an air of absurdity. Though successful, Lloyd felt constrained by the character, realizing that to truly leave a mark on the world, he needed to create something new, something that wasn't a copy of another successful star, something that was uniquely his. In 1917, he took a bold step that would define his career. He shed the outlandish persona of Lonesome Luke and introduced a new character that was far more relatable, a bespectacled young man simply known as Harold, who was just like the boy next door. This character, with his trademark horn-rimmed glasses, was an everyman, a figure of optimism and determination, who faced life's challenges with a mix of bravery and naivety. The glasses were more than just a prop, they were a symbol of the character's humanity and approachability. Lloyd later reflected, and quote, "When I adopted the glasses, it more or less put me in a different category because I became a human being. He was a kid that you would meet next door, across the street, but at the same time, I could still do all the crazy things that we did before, but you believed them. They were natural, and the romance could be believable." With this new persona, Lloyd quickly rose to fame. His films were a blend of comedy, romance, and adventure, often featuring thrill sequences that left audiences on the edges of their seats. Perhaps the most iconic of these is the scene in Safety Last, where Lloyd hangs precariously from the hands of a clock high above a busy city street. This image has since become one of the most enduring in cinematic history. Fun antics aside, Lloyd's career was not without its perils. On August 24th of 1919, while posing for a promotional photograph, a tragic accident nearly ended his life. Mistaking a live explosive for a prop, Lloyd lit the fuse, resulting in an explosion that severely injured his right hand. He lost his thumb and index finger, and his face was badly burned. For a moment, the world held its breath, fearing that the rising star's career had been extinguished. But Lloyd's indomitable spirit would not be so easily defeated. After all, he had made it out of a small town in Nebraska to the silver screen. He never let the public see his pain or struggle, concealing his injuries with a special prosthetic glove that was nearly undetectable on screen. This accident only seemed to fuel his determination, and he returned to filmmaking with renewed vigor, creating some of the most memorable work in the years that followed. The 1920s were a golden era for him. With hits like Grandma's Boy, The Freshman, and Speedy, he became one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood, earning both critical acclaim and a vast fortune. The story of Greenacres begins in 1923 when Harold Lloyd, at the height of his fame, purchased a parcel of land that had long belonged to the Benedict family. This land, nestled in the heart of Beverly Hills, was to be the canvas on which Lloyd would paint his masterpiece. He wasn't interested in mere luxury. Lloyd sought to create a world unto himself where every corner of the property would offer something magical. To bring his vision to life, Lloyd enlisted the talents of architects Summer Spalding and Walter Weber. Together they designed a 44-room mansion that would blend the grandeur of French and Italian Renaissance styles with the warmth and charm of a Hollywood star's home. Construction began in 1927, and by 1928, Greenacres had risen from the earth as a 45,000 square foot testament to Lloyd's larger-than-life persona. But it was the grounds of Greenacres that truly set it apart. Harold Lloyd was not content with simply having a mansion, he wanted his estate to be a living, breathing fairy tale. He collaborated with landscape architect A.E. Hansen, who transformed the 15-acre property into a botanical wonderland. The result was a series of themed gardens that seemed to transport visitors to different worlds, each more magical than the last. Imagine strolling through a tropical forest only to find yourself suddenly in a formal rose garden, the air thick with the scent of blooming flowers. Turn a corner and you might stumble upon a sunken garden, its lush greenery hiding you from the outside world. A cascading waterfall fed a 900-foot-long canoe stream, where you could paddle your way through the estate as if in a dream. Lloyd's love for sports and entertainment was evident throughout the property. A 9-hole golf course meandered across the grounds, providing both a challenge and a picturesque view. The estate also boasted tennis courts, an outdoor bowling green, and even regulation-sized handball court, perfect for a star who was as passionate about physical activity as he was about making people laugh. For as spectacular as this estate is already, we haven't even set foot inside. We'll enter the home below the grand staircase, stepping up into the double-height entry hall marked by a fireplace at the far end of the room. In the dining room, we can imagine the who's who of Hollywood gathering to share meals in understated elegance. And holidays in this mansion were fabled for being completely over the top, in exactly the way you might expect his larger-than-life persona to celebrate. Meandering about the mansion, we'll find long hallways tastefully decorated with antique tapestries and artwork by the old masters. His living room was finished out with half-height wood paneling and a massive floor-to-ceiling fireplace flanked by diamond-paned windows. The music room became a hub for private performances, as musical artists tinkered at the piano between cocktails. Life at Greenacres was good, but the good times couldn't last forever. As the 1920s gave way to the 1930s, Lloyd faced a new challenge, the advent of sound and cinema. While many silent film stars struggled to adapt, Lloyd embraced the change. He remade his 1929 film, Welcome Danger, as a talkie, and the result was a financial success, proving that Lloyd's charm transcended the limitations of silent film. However, the transition to sound marked the beginning of a slow decline in his career. The Great Depression altered the landscape of American cinema, and Lloyd's optimistic, go-getter persona seemed increasingly out of touch with the audience grappling with economic hardship. His films became less frequent, and by the late 1930s, Lloyd had largely stepped away from the screen. Though his film career had waned, Harold Lloyd's life was far from over. He redirected his energy into other passions, including photography. He was also deeply involved in charitable work, particularly with the Shriners Hospital, a cause close to his heart after overcoming his own serious injuries. He passed away in 1971 at the age of 77, but his legacy was far from forgotten. In the years that followed his death, there was a renewed interest in his work, spurred on by documentaries, retrospectives, and the release of his films on television and home video. Today, Harold Lloyd is celebrated as one of the greatest comedians of the silent film era, right alongside Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton. As for Greenacres, while the once vast lands have been subdivided to an extent, the mansion, along with several key elements of its grounds, continues to stand to this day as a private residence. As always, I'd love to hear your thoughts, whether it's about his career or his estate. Let me know down below in the comments section. And while you're there, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an exciting episode of This House.